and here we go.
We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Rolling up. Roger, roll, planet.
Water towers fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside FD off. Bring in FD off. Off. It's orange! 145!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage. Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
The methane would be igniting the flare, correct?
Yikes. You dead? Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Hello and welcome to an NSF live stream of a rocket launch. That's right, you're looking at a Falcon 9 at Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. This is the second try for SpaceX to launch the Starlink 10-23 mission with 27 internet Starlink satellites on board. I'm Jack Beyer for NSF. We are NASASpaceflight.com, an independent news media organization of people who love to teach y'all about rockets and bring you the best footage that we can. Joining me tonight on commentary, I have the ever-capable camera person that is out there himself in the flesh and mosquitoes as well, probably. Max Evans. Max, how you doing?
Yeah, mostly in mosquitoes, Jack. I'm doing good. Yeah, weather is much like it was yesterday, very humid, very, very stagnant in the airflow, but it is a very clear night here in Cape Canaveral, and we are ready to see this Starlink, this rocket and this Starlink mission get off the ground, hopefully, on the second try.
Yeah, we'll talk about what happened on this morning's, it's all a blur. We'll talk about what happened on the previous attempt in a moment, but I also would be remiss if I did not introduce Alejandro Alcantarilla Romero. How'd I do, Alex?
Oh, you did great. That was amazing, Jack.
Thank
That
you.
was the best way.
I'm so mad. Go ahead.
Yeah, try to and insert coin, I guess, and start again. So that's sort of where we are right now. Let's see if it happens.
Good deal. Also, operating tonight's stream is Carson once again. Thank you, Carson, for operating tonight's stream. And as always, if you guys have any questions about what's going on tonight or the previous attempt or anything, you can type it into chat, but at NASASpaceflight, type at NASASpaceflight first, and we'll see your software pop up in some... We'll see your software pop up. We'll see your question pop up in some software you have running in the background. All right. Let's get right into it. Max, have we heard anything else from SpaceX about the reason for the failed attempt at launching yesterday?
You caught yourself, Jack. Very good. I'm glad you didn't say the word. Yeah, just basically what we heard over comms yesterday is that there was some kind of connectivity issue with the FTS, or the flight termination system that is equipped on the Falcon 9. Actually, in this case, it is AFTS, so it is the automated flight termination system, which means the system is not completely dependent on a person on the ground with their finger on the big red button if the rocket is doing something it is not supposed to terminate its flight, i.e. blow it up. So there must have been some kind of a small issue there that they saw that triggered the automated abort sequence because they were under 1 minute at that point. So never know. But it seems like obviously it was a simple enough fix because they are back out tonight to try again.
Well, try again. They hopefully shall. Alex, Alex, did we get a little bit of information here in the back channel?
Yeah, I'm sort of hoping from Carson. No, but yeah, we have breaking news. I guess there's not going to be any ticker or anything with that. The launch has been delayed to 1:58 a.m. Eastern. That will be roughly 30-minute, 29-minute delay to the T0 here for the liftoff time. There you can see. If you want to be even more precise, it is 1:58 and 30 seconds a.m. Eastern. So that will be down to the second the launch time for this mission, I'm sure our clocks will be updated really soon. So
Momentarily. So
Yeah.
I guess this is probably a good point, Alex, to talk about how the windows for Starlink missions like this are handled. Because people might not understand, there's some minutia there, right? Of course, Falcon 9 can't hold, so a window for it isn't quite the same as a window for other rockets, but like, what's going on there? They have a range of times that they can launch in?
Well, they cannot hold the countdown after propellant load, but before propellant load, which, to be fair, there's a great deal of stuff happening before propellant load happens. They sort of leave just, they do everything else that sometimes they do with other rockets, right? And they just leave the propellant load all the way till the end. And sort of, the last 35 minutes of the count, they do other stuff, of course, when propellant load is underway. But things like checkouts and stuff like that, or even filling up the COPVs, which a lot of people are probably already familiar with lately, right? Those things, for example, usually happen well before propellant load starts. So they can hold the count before that propellant load starts. And for Starlink missions, it's usually a 4-hour window. Now, that 4-hour window is oftentimes split. Like, there's like little partitions of that bigger window in smaller little windows that I call sub windows, essentially. So sort of, the big window, the little window. And so there's at least, if I'm not mistaken, 15 for tonight. They've just jumped from the first one to the second one. And that is the one that begins at 1:58 a.m. Eastern.
Well, there
yeah.
you go.
That's why the clock changed.
All right, well, the clock has been updated, as you can see in the top left corner, but an hour and 22 minutes to go. Hopefully that sticks. Max, what's the weather out there like tonight? You mentioned mosquitoes, which I guess isn't surprising, but all things considered, I mean, can you see stars? Is it windy?
All things considered, even with the abundance of mosquitoes and just how soupy the air is right now, I mean, you could basically drink it through a straw.
Thanks,
We
now
are
I want
seeing
soup.
soup does sound very good. So does pineapple juice. But also just looking upwards toward the sky, the Mark 1 eyeballs are looking at a ton of stars. I can English. I swear to God. I promise.
It's late. We forgive you.
It's gonna be a long night for us over here, folks. But yeah, lots of stars in the sky, and because there is no moon out, there is no light to dim their brightness, so there are tons out, and it is also a very clear sky. There are some clouds-ish in the area, but those are mostly west inland into the mainland of Florida. So otherwise, everything is looking good according to the Mark 1 eyeballs, but according to the forecast from the 45th Weather Squadron, based over at the Patrick Space Force Base, there was only a 10% chance of weather violations today, with the primary concern being the cumulus cloud rule, i.e. a rocket flying through a very thick cloud and generating its own lightning, because that would create a bad day for the rocket and a lot of people. But
yeah, I don't actually know anything about this, but I think a related word or concept is triboelectrification.
I think I've heard. Yeah,
it's like one of those things like triethylborane, triethyl aluminum. It's like, oh, I'm going to put that one in my back pocket to sound smart, but I have no idea.
I mean, to be fair, I've heard that word tossed around a decent amount, so I think you're on point there. But otherwise, in terms of the upper level wind shear, booster recovery weather, and solar winds or solar activity, I should say, those are all ranked at a very low risk at the moment. So really, weather is about as good as it can get, at least from what the eyeballs are telling us and the forecast from the 45th. So all is looking good so far as we march on towards the brand new T0.
And march on we shall. Friendly reminder, chat, if you have any questions, at NASASpaceflight. Here's one for you, Max. Sorry, Alex. River Dave is asking, will y'all get a nap in before Atlas 5? Of course, Kuiper is coming up, is it not?
Indeed it is. I was going to say tomorrow morning, but it is this morning, literally in just a few hours. The window for Atlas 5 and the Kuiper 2 mission opens at about 6:45 or 6:50 a.m. and just a few hours from now, and that is about a 30-minute window following that. So very early in the morning, bright and early for a Monday morning for those here on the Space Coast. But there is really no better way to start your week than a fabulous doubleheader, starting out with tonight's Starlink mission, hopefully getting off the ground in about an hour and 20 minutes time. But yes, the most powerful variant of Atlas V should be getting off the ground just before 7 a.m. this morning, Eastern time, local time here on the Space Coast. So if all goes to plan, it might be a very spectacular morning.
Of course, we'll be live for that as well. Max, do you know what that configuration of Atlas's nickname is? I know we're looking at a Falcon 9 right now, but
So
come on, we're all rocket nerds here.
yeah. So as far as it has been told in the last couple of years, officially, Tori Bruno and ULA officially call it the Bruiser. Although there is a video from Smarter Every Day back in early 2020 where Destin was touring the entire factory indicator, and Tori
Such a
is
good video.
It's a phenomenal video. But Tori is on camera there saying that when Atlas has all 5 solids attached to it, they call it the Beast. So I've always thought that they call it the Beast, and I always thought the Bruiser was the 541, or the version of Atlas that has 4 solids. I don't know, but I guess officially it is the Bruiser now, so I guess we officially have to call it the Bruiser, even though Tori is on camera calling it the Beast. I don't know.
Interesting. I don't know if you saw this week's Flame Trench, but EJ and I were arguing. We were discussing rocket assembly lines, and I was like, "Bro, I wish I could have thought of that. I wish I could have thought of that specific video." That's a really
I know.
good one.
That would have been such a great example.
Shiloh McKenzie, thank you for the super chat. They say, my back, my back. Solid reference. Flippers, what's up, Flip? Thank you for the super. They say, I'm down for some vocals serenading. No, I don't know what that's about. I didn't agree to that. I don't know what that is. There's no words on it. We're certainly not going to do it live. And Trogdor, I assume the Burninator. Thank you for the super chat as well. They say, have the Flight 9 Shrug patches shipped yet? The actual patches came and look great. Thank you. Put a lot. The store team and all of us really care quite a lot about the patches and put a lot of effort into them. I do not know if the Shrug patches have shipped or not yet. I will look for some guidance in our back channel. Not yet, I'm being told, but they will soon, and you'll get a notification or an email or something, I'm sure. Jeffrey's asking, why can the Falcon 9 not hold once fueling starts? That's an Alex question, if I ever heard of one.
Well, it had to do with the propellants that it uses. They essentially use the liquid oxygen. For example, the liquid oxygen normally on every other rocket will be loaded at its boiling temperature, right? What they do with the liquid oxygen is they chill it down even further down than its boiling temperature, essentially. And so what that does is it sort of densifies, meaning that there's more mass of liquid oxygen per unit of volume, which means for the same size of the tank, you get more bang for your buck, right? It's literally like that. You can pack more of that liquid oxygen into the same volume of the tank, which means your rocket has more gas to go anywhere. They do the same thing with the kerosene, although the kerosene does not boil off at ambient temperatures or anything like that. You know, at ambient conditions, it is just a normal liquid. It's just that, you know, instead of being at ambient temperature, they cool it down to roughly, I think it is 7 degrees Fahrenheit, which will be around 10 degrees minus 10 degrees Celsius. So, you know, they cool it down a little bit, also densifying it, and therefore being able to pack more of it inside the tanks. So, if you were to hold, right, what will happen? Well, those will warm up, and they will lose that property of being denser, right? Like they will just get back to being their normal selves, I guess. And so they will not be able to pack as much of those as they will want on the tanks, and therefore the Falcon 9 will lose performance. If you want to have that amazing performance that allows us to launch a nearly 17 metric ton payload like today into low Earth orbit, and also return the booster on a drone ship, you kind of need that. Now, some people might be wondering, wait, hang on, but Starship also uses subcooled propellants and everything, right? But it can hold for, you know, like 15, 20 minutes or so. But that is because it's so big and it carries so much propellant that it just it takes time for that propellant to warm up, right? Like you got to
Right.
give it time.
Has more
And so that
thermal
time-
mass.
Yeah, and so that time is that hold, that little hold window that they have. And even though being said that, there was one time where they had to keep holding precisely because they needed to look at the temperatures of the propellant. Like that is a really complicated thing to have to do when you are dealing with cryogenic fluids. To be fair, like it's not an easy thing.
I feel like there's a lot of lore that a lot of us that watch a lot of Falcon 9 launches just sort of take for granted. And when the times I've had to explain to friends of mine who are not rocket nerds why Falcon 9 is so particularly unique and marvelous, and what it does things in ways no other rocket company has or would do. One of the things I tell them about is the super cooled propellant, and because it's really easy to understand, right? It's denser, you can fit more in the tanks, you get more performance, and people are like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. Does it really make that big of a difference?" And it's like, buddy, it does. I forget what the percentage increases were when they started subcooling, but it was certainly. I mean, they wouldn't have done it if it wasn't worth it, right?
I think it
Yeah.
was around. Well, I'm not sure if you know, Alex. I think it was around like 10 or 15%. Does that sound right?
That sounds right.
Yeah, for the kerosene is a little bit less. So what they did is like they just modified like where the common dome was to adjust the volumes, right? And so for the kerosene is a little bit less. I think it's like 5 to 7%, but it's still 7%. That is like what a few 100 kilograms more, right, of payload. And then on the other hand, the liquid oxygen, I think it's 10-15% or so. So combined, you get a non-trivial amount of extra payload to low Earth orbit and other destinations, of course.
No, only low Earth orbit. No, I'm kidding. I feel like it's interesting with this delay because I feel like we should be going to timeline at this point, but we shouldn't be going to timeline because we haven't gotten close to fueling, which is still like 40 or so minutes away, Alex. 30 minutes.
Yeah, it doesn't start until T-minus 35. And even then, there's a few preparations, as we usually talk about, of the polling and everything, go for propellant load. But that still is not happening for like another good 20 minutes or so.
Well, that's all right, because we can hang out and continue to answer all y'all's excellent questions. Keep them coming. I also will answer this question from Darth with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Darth, helping us keep the lights on. And helping us do what we do. They're asking, is Falcon 9 edible? No?
Anything is edible if you have the stomach for it. But
if you're hungry enough, I guess.
For legal reasons, that is a joke.
It might be the first and only time that you eat a rocket, though.
Oh, wow. There's so much I want to say right now, but let's keep the train somewhat on the rails.
Yeah.
Darth also wants to know what my favorite Lady Gaga song is. Wait, don't answer that unless you are sure you won't get copyrighted for talking about it. Yeah, I don't know that I could name a Lady
Romance.
Gaga song.
Full stop.
Sorry. I guess Poker Face is a
Wait,
Lady
which
Gaga
one?
song. I don't know that I have a favorite.
Poker Face is a banger, but I would say Bad Romance. Like that was the song that I was jamming out to in seventh grade, I think it was.
I'm gonna be honest. I hate Poker Face.
That's interesting.
What?
I hate it.
Wait, why? What? Okay.
Anyways, let's move on.
Oh.
Isabel Inc. wants to know, how much do we know about the internal changes of Starship Block 3, if at all? Alex?
Oof. Yeah, that's a complicated one because we don't really know much. By all means, it seems like at least the size of the tanks might be the same, or even like the ship at all might be the same size, but they may change some things here and there. Like, for example, for the propellant transfer stuff and everything, it seems like there's going to be sort of like a double port. It's not two quick disconnects, but more like one single quick disconnect that have like a good separation between the methane side and the liquid oxygen side of things. but everything else might still be the same. Like internally, the separate transfer tubes and everything for the RVACs and everything. Like it might still be the same inside. Maybe they improve a few things because Block 3 ships might be here to stay for a while, right? Until they go to way later iterations. That future Starship iteration that Elon showed at the end of May. But so that means that it might be something that can also endure long duration flights in the future, right? Like I don't know. So maybe there's more vacuum jacketed lines and things like that to transfer propellant, whatever. Like we'll see. But right now, it's really hard to say whether that's gonna be the case or not. The tiles might work though. Again, it might be the same size, so the outside might still look rather similar.
I'm still so bummed about Ship 36. Its heat shield looked so good. It looked so good, Alex.
You know what,
I was
Jack?
gonna make a joke, but
It's only
no.
going to look better from here. So just
That's fair.
there's always the next one.
That's fair.
Scott saying it's not larger on the inside. It's not a TARDIS, it's a Starship, man.
Stardust?
I'm just joking.
I don't know.
TARDIS, yeah.
Mike Posh asking, what are the chances they could fast forward this timer? None. You can fast forward it in a variety of ways that I don't recommend, but yeah, for legal purposes, as Max said earlier.
Well, you can
take a
take a
nap.
nap, but
Take a nap.
Yeah, that's legal.
That's legal. That's the first thing you say when someone says take a nap. That's legal. Totally. Yeah. I got it.
If you don't set up an alarm, though, you might get woken up by the launch on the stream.
Sure.
If you keep the stream open, or Jack rambling, that may also wake you up.
Alex, I'm seeing a little bit of venting from the strong back and around that area from looks like a separate tower. Totally normal, right?
Yep. That's one of the things that we usually see. Also, for example, at Starbase, right? So we often talk about. I guess I can go on a long answer here about the whole setup. So you have the ground tanks, right? At the tank farm, but then you have a series of transfer lines that go all the way out there to that rocket, right? And those transfer lines are sort of divided in different sections. So you have the first one, which is from the from the tank farm all the way out to the transporter reactor. The transporter reactor then has its own line up to the rocket, and then from that height to the second stage, there's also the umbilical itself, sort of like another section of that. So obviously, because it is such a long trip from the ground tanks and all of the subcoolers and everything, all the way out to the rocket, all of those sections, different sort of lengths of that trip, need to also be chilled down, right? We're gonna talk around T-minus 20 minute time, right? We're gonna see that big vent as usual. That is the one that is dedicated to just that umbilical for the second stage. It's like the last trip, so to speak. But everything else before it needs to also be chilled down. So every now and then you're gonna see a vent from the Stromback to release that sort of pressure. Because what they do is they flow that liquid oxygen through the line. It boils off because obviously if the line gets cold, the liquid oxygen gets hot. So it warms up, turns into a gas, and you need to vent it because otherwise you will be having a very bad day that day.
Is that just like a purge or like a chill down or just a pressure maintenance kind of thing or all of the above?
Yeah. Chill down. When we see, for example, at Starbase the Pope vent and everything, that's because they're chilling down the tank farm, for example.
Right.
At Starbase, they do the whole chill down thing like all the way out directly, all the way out, like the line all the way out to the rocket. And so we see the OLM vent, we see the tower vent, etc., etc. But here it would appear, at least from all of the nearly 500 Falcon 9 launches already, that from all of that, it seems like they do like a pre-chill down of like the lines before the rocket, and then the ones that go to the rocket are around T-minus 20 minutes. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you, Alex.
I guess so, right?
Shiloh McKenzie with a $5 super chat. Once again, seriously, thank you everybody for supporting what we do. It really, truly helps. They're asking... I couldn't even say it with a straight face.
Oh dear.
Can we lick Falcon 9? No, please don't. Especially not after fueling, because you see what is that, a Christmas Story where the kid licks the pole and the tongue gets stuck? You don't want that. Do not lick the frosty booster. Also, there's a keep out zone and etc. But
There's also like, even the RP1 tank, like not just the like, forget about the liquid oxygen, the kerosene. I said before, it gets chilled down below freezing temperatures. So even that, you could not leak the outside of the kerosene tank. It's also sooty. Like
it's also really sooty. Yeah.
Yeah, this booster has flown 24 times
It
before.
would need to be a new booster.
You are either tasting just straight carbon, or you are losing your tongue. Like, pick one.
What if I don't want to pick one, Max? At least kerosene doesn't taste that bad.
I mean, then don't like Falcon 9.
How do you know that?
Something New Zealand. Let's move on.
Which was, Jack, a year ago already, believe it or not.
Dang.
I know.
You two are in New Zealand?
Jack, we're in New Zealand.
Oh my God. I'm trying to do support. Darth, thank you. If we were in New Zealand, Max. Darth, thank you for becoming a Red Team member. We appreciate it. Another way to support us is the membership program. If you didn't know that, it's right there underneath your little YouTube screen. You can sign up for the membership program. There's various perks at various levels, including a members Discord that's available at Capcom level and above, with a whole bunch of cool little sub communities. There's like a gaming channel, and there's of course different channels for different rockets and launch sites and all kinds of things. The members Discord rules, member program rules, and it's a leg on the stool that helps stand up the crazy organization of an astounding number of people that is NSF. So thank you for that, Darth. We appreciate it. Be sure to check out the membership program if you want even more NSF content, such as this excellent question we're about to answer here from Woodshop 2300, asking, how many Scoville is the Falcon 9 exhaust?
About that many.
Oh, I should have known you would have said that. That's the most Max thing to say.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really curious. Somebody ask one of the AIs and post it into chat. Echo Deal says enough.
Also acceptable.
Yeah, also a good answer. If you didn't know, Scoville is it's a temperature scale for heat in spice or something, right? It's like if you talk about a hot sauce and it's like, oh, this is 20 million Scoville, right? Max, it sounds like you know. I don't actually know.
I mean, I'm no expert. It's literally just a measurement based on spice and how much I think reactivity the amount of spice or whatever. Is it capsaicin? I think is the one.
That sounds right.
Yeah,
we're rocket nerds, not foodies.
Yeah, capsaicin is basically what makes
speak
spicy
for yourself.
Food spicy. And basically, the more capsaicin you have in your food, the more spicy it's going to be. And there's a rating on that is nowhere near linear. It's basically exponential in the way it goes up in scale. But yeah, that is what they use to measure spicy foods and peppers especially.
Unfortunately, I don't think there's a way to translate the two. It's fun to think about, but it'd be like saying how many leagues deep. It's like, well, leagues is actually a unit of measurement, not depth. Anyways, Shiloh McKenzie, thank you again for the super chat. They say, okay, fine. Can we lick Electron in New Zealand then? I don't recommend that without Rocket Lab's express written consent.
That's also carbon fiber. So
yeah, I would not recommend that. What is with chat and asking if Falcon 9 is edible or wanting to lick the rocket tonight? Chat
don't do those things.
Yeah, do not do those things. Chat is particularly unhinged tonight, and I'm kind of here for it. Here's an interesting question from Jennifer Gates asking, why are there 4 lightning towers on Slick 40 and 41 and less on other complexes? Alex, do you have any idea? Like, is it just whenever it was built, whatever contractor was building it was like, yeah, that'll be fine. And, different contractors had different solutions. I know there's now different rocket companies who, every company's going to put their own twist on it. But
yeah,
when it was all like space not Space Force, but Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. Yeah, like I'm surprised it wasn't more standardized, or was it? And I'm just dumb.
Well, I mean, it is a bit different between certain pads. So, like as I said, Slick 40 and 41 have 4 towers. For example, Slick 37, which no longer has them, but it used to have 2 lighting towers. At LC-39A, they only have, well, not lighting towers, but more like, the tower where all of the lighting protection system is held from. At LC-39A, they have only 1. And then at LC-39B, for example, they have 3 of them. So it just depends on different rules that there was at different times. Because if you think about it, these different places like Slick 40 and Slick 41 go all the way back when they were modernized, so to speak. That's when they got the 4 towers. For Slick 37, for example, it sat dormant for a long while, and it was sort of brought back to life around the late 90s. And the rules about lightning protection was different, and that was why it had different lightning protection. 39A, the same thing. It goes back all the way to that fixed service structure goes all the way back to the shuttle era. At least in that current form, it's also made up of different parts of Saturn V stuff and everything. Right. But you know
see
what
it
I mean,
there
right?
On the right side of the screen.
Yeah, and that is precisely LC-39A. 39B, in that case, it was because they got rid of the fixed service structure there, because SLS, or even Constellation at the time when it was actually demolished, they were not needing any of that. So it was like, yeah, let's just get rid of this, and we're gonna have 3 instead of 4 lightning towers, because that's how they just did it. And that's pretty much it. Like it just doesn't have any more secret than different times called for different solutions to the same problem.
There you have it. I can't believe Jennifer got a good lightning tower question into chat. People always ask, what are the 4 towers? Why are there 4 towers? What are the 5 towers? It's always a question people like to giggle and ask in chat, and we try to answer because someone might not actually know. But that was a good lightning tower question. Hey, you can all stop super chatting now. I'm getting worried about this goal thing Kevin set up in chat. Hey, look, there's merch. Yeah, no, don't super chat. Merch. You get something cool in return when you get merch. Look, there's 4 towers. That's what we were just talking about. Good job, Carson. Hey, look, it's
I like
orange.
the pun.
I do like.
Can we go back and read it?
I do like the pun.
Yeah, it says they're talking about us again.
Shocking.
Shocking.
Sawyer would approve. In fact, I'm pretty sure Sawyer did approve.
I think this was actually before Sawyer came in, but I think he likes puns. We know that for sure.
Oh my God, Dank Jeb, what's up, buddy? Thank you so much for gifting 50 memberships. That's wild. That's a huge...
It's still rolling.
Yeah, I can still see people's names turning green in chat. If you wanted a gifted membership, then this was the stream for you, because Dank Jeb came in clutch. Thank you so much, Dank Jeb. I don't know if you've been paying attention, buddy. Dank Jeb always hits me up in the member Discord whenever there's a new United States Chemical Safety Board video, because Dank Jeb knows I love that sort of thing, especially those particular videos. United States Chemical Safety Board might be going away, and I don't know if I've talked to Dank Jeb about that yet, but I hope they're not as bummed about it as I am, because I'm really bummed. But either way, thank you, Dank Jeb. I'm definitely not bummed about the 50 gifted memberships. That's wild. Thank you so much. Hey, what the heck? Okay. Do I have to talk? Do I actually have to talk about this on air at this point? I'm getting kind of worried.
I think you have to address it.
Okay, Kevin, Michael Reed, without my knowledge, has set up a thing, a goal. I didn't know this was a thing in YouTube. I have not been paying attention closely enough, apparently. So if 15 people do teal super chats, Kevin said, I didn't say, that I will sing Lady Gaga. I am not agreeing to do that. I never agreed to do that. you all keep doing super chats, which again, you could do merch. Like merch exists. Tips.nasaspaceflight.com exists. Money goes straight to us, you know? So not agreeing. You can ignore what Kevin is typing into chat under the guise of the official account. Let's talk about rockets, because that's what you're all
He
here
cannot
for.
sing Gaga here though, so this will have to be like, I don't know. He posted like
Not
a video
agreeing
on
to
X or
it. Nope,
something.
not agreeing to that. Certainly not going to do that.
We need to find ways of doing this, such as, you know, that we don't get copyright striked or anything.
I don't know that if I... Oh, maybe in the pre-show? That's a good idea, Carson. In the pre-show to the Flame Trench that we do, that members have access to at Capcom level and above. I'm not agreeing to sing. I cannot make this clear enough. Is this the new kilt thing? Like, why, Kevin? Why? Echo Deal, thank you so much, regardless of what Kevin is orchestrating here, against my will, for the support, because the support it's important. Oh my God, 13 and 15. Why? They say, okay, hear me out. Bacon wrapped Falcon 9. I'm in. Darth, thank you. Even though you could totally stop. Darth says, guys, keep donating. But no, you could totally stop.
Bacon wrapped.
Again,
Falcon.
saying money. Shiloh McKenzie, so that if one wraps COPVs in bacon, will ship 37 be edible and not Rudd. What is happening?
Oh, Max.
RC Horseman, can you not please? They say Super Jack singing super songs. Not going to happen. I cannot stress this enough. Like, we appreciate the support. Hey, let's talk about rockets. Tuesday, thank you. Not going to do it. That diabetic kid, thank you. They say excited for Northeast launches to come back, but this is just for the goal. No. Let's talk about Northeast launches. Max, you've been pointing the camera south a lot lately, right? On all those 43-degree trajectories, am I right? Like, how stoked are you to have northern trajectories? The northern trajectory tonight.
I can't even answer that question with the straight face at this point because of both of you and KMR in the back channel, but I'll try. So yes, basically from what has been launching from here for the past couple of years, being the Starlink Group 6 and Group 12 shells, both have been launching on a southeast trajectory on a 43-degree inclination. The Group 10 shell is unique in that they are returning to the northeast trajectory, being a 53-degree inclination. So basically, looks very similar to what a launch going to the ISS would be like. Is a very similar flight path, being only about a 2-degree difference between 51.6 going to the ISS and 53 going up tonight. So yeah, stoked to be tracking a rocket going north out of Slick 40 again, as opposed to flying directly away from us like they normally would going southeast. So yes, that is always a treat.
Excellent. Well, as we were saying on last night's attempt, if you were on the eastern seaboard, do attempt to go out and look tonight if you have clear skies, because you never know what you might see. Just like the other night when we thought we were going to see a Ship 36 static fire. And you all know how that went. Oh man, Tralfaz, thank you for the support. They say, too late, gotta do it now. I don't agree. Hop Haze, thank you for the support. They say, oh, this is neat. Let's go, B1069. This is a contact jack, just like you in the kilt. I think they meant contract. Gaga Jack. Not gonna happen. No. Moldy Space. Why Moldy Space? I'm so mad at Moldy Space right now, Kevin. I can't even be mad at you right now, Kevin. I'm too blinded by rage that Moldy Space joined in. How dare they betray me? I don't know what that is. I don't though. I'd prefer to just like not. No. Why are you here? Why is this happening live?
This straight up feels like a post-stream meeting or something. Not like we're live on
Late
air
night
with
Starlinks.
people. Late night Starlinks do be hitting different. This is exactly why.
This is the hittingest different late night Starlink ever. Max Evans, Max E, did you do a super chat?
No,
Are you sure?
You did.
no.
Does that mean you want to hear me sing?
Of course not. Never.
You
I
have
would
heard me
never.
sing in New Zealand.
I did. You did not. No. I heard you moo like a cow. I didn't hear you sing.
6.5. 6 half a dozen. Same kind of. Shiloh McKenzie, thank you. They say if you buy a kilt, you won't have to sing. Oh, is that how I get out of this? Darth, thank you for the super chat. Tuesday says Rip Ship 36. Thank you, Darth again. People are just trying to game the system at this point. But the support is meaningful. It just don't want to sing. Astro Kanoko Head. They say just to save Jack and us from his singing. What are the 4 towers for? We just we literally
Just
thank
did
you
that.
thank you for trying. I appreciate you. Hey, we're getting closer to fueling, am I right?
Sort of.
Hopefully.
Maybe.
Alex, where are we at?
Well, as you can see on the top left, 48
God.
Minutes.
Thank you. Thanks for
37
no help. Thank you for no
seconds.
help.
I just want you to commit to the bit. I mean, are you gonna sing? Not right now, I guess. Again, copyright strike, but
I am not committing. I am not committing to doing anything.
The amount of just sheer awkward tension coming off of Jack tonight, you could cut it with a knife at this point.
The problem is Kevin knows I don't like to disappoint our viewers. He understands that on a deep level that I sincerely care about our members and our viewers, and I don't want to disappoint them. And if they open a box labeled something, it should probably be in that box. But I didn't agree to the label on the box. That's the thing.
You didn't agree to it, but you are also digging yourself into a much deeper hole at this point by saying that.
I don't know what you're talking about. Hey, Sawyer Rosenstein, whoever that is asking, I totally just joined in and haven't been watching the whole stream. So what's this goal thing? Is there an award? No, it's just, if people want to support what we do and all the hard work put in by people such as Max out in the field and anybody else that might, be in Florida and go out in the field, the support's really meaningful. Sawyer Rosenstein.
There is a glorious picture in the back channel right now. It's magnificent.
We don't gotta talk about. Ulrich has another super chat here. They say, "Thank you guys. It's so relaxing listening to your comments in these terrible times." Is anybody relaxed right now? I feel like I'm walking across hot coals.
I don't know. I'm feeling pretty good, Jack. I don't know about you, Alex. How you feeling?
I'm really glad.
it's a nice morning here in Europe. It's nice. Yeah, the birds are singing. The sun is out. Yeah.
Cosmic Nebula says, if Jack sings really poorly, you'll avoid a copyright strike. And I think Alex might have just died. That's pretty good.
It was the silence after my answer. It was like,
Oh, man. Hey, so it's T-minus 46 minutes till a rocket is about to launch 27 Starlink V2 mini satellites into space. That's pretty interesting, right? That's like way more interesting than anything else we could possibly be talking about right now. So how about we focus on that? That seems like a really good idea, right? Yeah.
I mean, we still have 10 more minutes. I mean, I had more, but you go first.
Are you done? I had more, but classic. Max, here's a question for you. When we were talking about the weather, one of the items on there was the solar weather, and we got a question from Jason Alexander asking, did they just start adding in the solar with the go no go? I don't remember it being a thing. Do you know if that's like a recent addition? Maybe perhaps since that full batch of Starlink satellites got roasted, or is it sort of just always been there?
I mean, I'm sure it's been a more, I guess, upfront concern since then. but it has been a part of the forecast from the 45th Weather Squadron for a while, as that is something to consider, not just with the satellites launching tonight, but with really any payload going up to orbit, whether it be in low Earth orbit, medium Earth orbit, or if you're going beyond that, even up to a geostationary transfer orbit. So it has always been a concern for any payload going up, but these Starlink satellites have proven to be a bit more vulnerable than perhaps SpaceX would have liked.
Yeah, you generally don't want to go through all the effort to launch a whole bunch of satellites only to lose them to solar weather. Good question from Jason.
It was maybe Sawyer can back me up here in the back channel. It's a weird thing for me to say this, but because it's about shuttle. I feel like it was one of the late shuttle missions where they had a scrub because of a flare as well. Like, it's not just a recent thing. It's been a thing that, you know, they've been worried about for a while. I somewhat remember that. I'm maybe imagining things here.
Well, that's one of the sort of quirks about the Starlink constellation, right? It's that it orbits lower to the Earth. It's more susceptible to drag, and I think also solar weather as a result. And because they're so low, I mean, that's by design. They're meant to burn up in the atmosphere after their life cycle is complete, but they are kind of more susceptible to perturbation by solar weather, especially when they've just been launched. Tuesday. Thank you for the super chat. It helps us a lot. They say some singing would really help me relax. Yeah.
The tides have just completely turned tonight, Jack. Welcome to Late Night Starlinks.
Why did I say I was available? I'm kidding. Let's see. This is a really interesting one. 98 Central is asking, why do the structures on the towers twist? I think that's just a remnant of how they are manufactured. I don't actually know, but we did do a whole video on the lightning towers, so maybe it's in there. It's been a while since I've watched it.
I thought those were fiberglass.
Yeah.
Right? The white things.
Right.
Like, maybe some people might not be aware that the lightning is not supposed to hit the tower, but like the towers are holding the wires where the lighting is supposed to hit, right?
Right. The towers hold up a catenary wire. The wire is actually the target, not the towers themselves.
Yep.
Yeah, and so the big fiberglass poles it's almost like I guess it's, what is it, a big insulator. Separates the metal wire from the metal tower.
Yeah.
But they do have like a sort of a twisty, I don't even know how to really describe it. There's like a spiral on the outside of them. I don't know if that's a necessary part of the design or if that's just a manufacturing, remnant. Good question. See? There are good Four Towers questions. VVAC 201 is asking, do the Starlink satellites orbit lower than the ISS? Alex?
Some of them, the majority of them don't, though. They orbit roughly 500, 600 kilometers in altitude. So the station is like 420 kilometers. It's a very easy number to remember, I guess. And then you've got some of the Starlink satellites do orbit lower, especially the direct-to-cell satellites are around 360 kilometers. But the majority of the Starlink satellites are way, like, at least 100 kilometers higher up than the ISS. And also in different inclinations and blah, blah, blah,
Yeah, makes sense.
all the other orbital things.
Man, low Earth orbit's going to get so busy in the next couple of years, and it's already incredibly more busy than it ever has been with the Starlink constellation that already exists up there, let alone all of the other constellations that are planned to be launched or in the process of being launched. Good thing space is big. Here's another Alex question. Ninja Gaiden is asking, do you know what the record number of rescheduled flights is for a Falcon 9 rocket? Axiom 4 is getting up there, I'm sure.
Reschedule flights for Falcon. Yeah, if you count things like going into the countdown proper, there is SCS-9. We're very, very early on in Falcon 9's history. I remember that one where it was the second flight of the Falcon 9 version with the subcooled propellants, essentially the V1.2 version. That one was so weird because it kept delaying and escorting every single time. Yeah, I mean, at some point it was even supposed to be launching on a leap day because it was in 2016, it was a leap year. So it was supposed to launch on February 29th, and then it got delayed again, and then again, and I think it was like March 3rd or 4th that it eventually launched. But yeah, there were a few others as well where, they repeatedly delayed even though it was already into the count, or even down to 10 seconds. That was Intelsat 35E. I remember they had 2 scraps back to back at T-minus 10 seconds because of a faulty computer on Falcon 9.
Man, seems like ancient history at this point.
Yeah, but I still remember my brain's still braining. I still have it here in my brain. I'm doing but we don't have any host cameras, so you gotta imagine that.
Thanks, Alex. Theater of the mind, truly. Truly. We are getting closer, hopefully. T-minus 38 minutes to go. Alex, are we at the point where we should be looking at the base of the vehicle for frosty goodness? TM?
Yeah, so hopefully, if everything is still on track, which, again, knock on wood, right? We should be just minutes away from that start of the propellant load sequence. That is an automated sequence, essentially, like as soon as they hit 35 minutes right on the dot, that's when that propellant, that launch auto sequence they usually call out, that is when it starts, and it starts with loading propellant on the first stage. Both RP1, kerosene, and liquid oxygen, the fuel and the oxidizer, both get loaded on the first stage, and only the RP1 for the second stage. The liquid oxygen comes a little bit later, at T-minus 16 minutes into the count, that you can see there, that timeline. Now, of course, before any of that happens, as we were mentioning way earlier in the stream, they cannot hold once the propellant load starts, right? So if they can hold beforehand, they'll do it, right? So we don't know if they're still tracking that or if the T0 has changed and whatnot. But if it hasn't changed, then by now the launch director should have given the go for propellant load. There's also like a bunch of other things as well that happen, like venting the propellant tanks for the start of propellant load, blah, 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 all those preparations. But one of the things that will give us the clue that they are indeed into propellant load, that liquid oxygen tank on the first stage should get frosty. And that should happen around 4 minutes from now, roughly T-minus 32 minutes, if everything is still on track. So we'll keep an eye for that. Talking while muted.
Sorry, I was too busy hamming it up in chat.
Yeah, I see you.
Flip. I had to hang out with Flip in chat for a second. I'm sorry. Max, you getting excited? How are you feeling? Are you hopeful?
I'm always hopeful. I mean, we are approaching the time where we should
That's
be getting...
so true. You are always hopeful.
I try to be, at least. We should be on the lookout for frost in the next few minutes, and then the excitement can start really building at that point when we see frost. Until then, it is just one big waiting game, but that is just the name of the game here in aerospace, on the Space Coast, just in general, between both Falcon 9, Atlas 5, Delta 4, Vulcan, SLS especially. It's part of the game. We wait, and we we hurry up and wait some more. So hopefully not too much longer for this one, though.
Max, don't say SLS. It'll hear you. Shh.
SLS.
Shh, it'll hear you, dude. It'll hear you.
SLS.
Bro, it's going to hear you.
Senate launch system.
Moving quickly along, as Crispy would say. Trogdor, thank you for the super chat. They say we should make our own song so it doesn't get copyrighted. Or we could just, like hang out and talk about rockets. Hey, do you have any rocket questions? At NASASpaceflight in chat.
Oh, Kevin is right. Like, isn't it like right behind Max?
It is. It is currently over. Well, a majority of it currently is over in High Bay 3, stacked on top of the Mobile Launcher 1. So the solid rocket boosters have been stacked. The core stage has been mated. The stage adapter has been fitted, and the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, or the ICPS, which connects to the Orion spacecraft, has been fitted. And we are hoping to see it roll out for some testing, maybe in the fall time, maybe, if all goes well. I don't know. I keep my hopes for SLS timelines rather restrained, especially after the absolute, I don't want to say dumpster fire, but the amount of patience that we had to have for Artemis 1 proved to be.
Oh God, there
yeah.
it is.
It'll
God.
it'll also
Shit, it'll hear you. Shh.
it'll also depend on like the readiness of Orion. Like if Orion is ready
Yes.
early enough, they're gonna stack it and like do launch preparations. Like the idea is that if Orion takes time, because it's the long pole right now, they're waiting pretty much on Orion. If it takes time to get it ready for launch and whatnot, then they're gonna go out for testing first. But if not, they can just stack Orion, wait a couple more months to get that, all of those connections and rehearsals with the crew and whatnot, and then roll it out, do the test, and then launch. Like that will be sort of the quicker version of the whole thing. But we'll see what happens. They have a lot of work ahead. Speaking of work ahead.
Oh, hi,
I knew you were
Alex.
going to say that. I was reading your mind.
Well, okay, so then what was the segue to that I was going to do?
Taking more questions, because that's your work.
Speaking of a lot of work to do, there's been a lot of work to get the number of Starlink minis increased that Falcon 9 can launch in one go. They're launching 27 tonight. What have they done to increase that? Kramit 710 wants to know. Alex?
Their name is pretty much what they did. They crammed a lot more, a lot more stuff in the same size. No, but look, what they did with the Starlink satellites is after a year or so of launching them, they were able to find optimizations, right? And so they were able to improve their their connectivity and everything. All this stuff about gigabits per second and all that stuff about connectivity and everything with internet satellites. Teraflops, no, but you have all of that. So they were able to increase their capacity and capabilities and everything, while also decreasing the amount of mass that each of these satellites carries. There were also probably a few other optimizations on the payload stack and whatnot, and that allowed them to be able to launch more of these satellites. For now, the maximum has been 29, but it also depends on which orbit they go to. So if you go to a more inclined orbit, then you have to fight against. So this whole thing that people usually say, you gotta launch east because that helps you the rotation of the Earth and whatnot. Sometimes you don't want to go east. You want to go more polar, for example. In which case you have to fight against the Earth's rotation and you have to do more work. So, for example, today it's going 53 degrees, which is higher inclination than 43 degrees, etc., etc. Yeah, I'm seeing the frost. We'll talk. Let me finish. And so what that means is you need to do more work, and because you need to do more work, you cannot carry as many satellites. But anyways, yeah, let's go to the icing on the cake, I guess. Yeah.
Max, you called it out in the back channel. I'll let you call it out on stream. What are we looking at?
We are seeing frost starting to build up on the bottom of Falcon 9's first stage liquid oxygen tank, which also means RP1 is also flowing into both the first stage and the second stage. But because of where the pesky tree line is here, we only have a view of the bottom of the LOX tank first. So that is our first visual indicator that prop load is underway. And now we know that SpaceX and Falcon 9 are committed to this current T0.
All right,
I see some tribalism in chat, Jack.
Some tribalism? No, we don't really need to tribalism. It is good, though, that we know that they are fueling the rocket, because that means we know they're not going to
That's true.
Try for a different sub-window, as Alex calls them, like we were talking about earlier. Excellent. 30 minutes to go. 27 Starlinks. sitting pretty atop a Falcon 9, waiting to go into orbit. Falcon 9 1069-25 to be specific. Sawyer, can you not in chat? Megan Starr, thank you so much. They super chatted and said, I grew up in Central Florida and saw many shuttle launches. Same. How would you compare Starlink launches to shuttle launches, i.e. sound and glow? Thank you for all your team does for us to see these. First off, thank you, Megan, so much for the kind words and a little bit of nostalgia there. Second off, very little can compare to a shuttle. I mean, obviously SLS, obviously Starship, perhaps Delta IV Heavy. Really, though, it's hard to beat those solids. I mean, I'm sure there's some configurations of Atlas. I'm sure there were some configurations of Delta, certainly Titan. I can't speak for Titan personally, unfortunately. But yeah, a shuttle launch is incredibly bright because of those solids and incredibly loud also because of those solids. So while a Starlink night launch is spectacular, and Max, they still turn night today, right? But it's just not the same.
They do, and also every single rocket has their own, I guess, different sound profile. Because Falcon 9 has a very distinct, like, low rumble, and that also carries over to Falcon Heavy. Obviously, instead of having 9 Merlins, you have 27 of them in all 3 cores. Atlas also has a distinct rumble, but it is a bit higher pitched, and you hear a lot more crackles because, of course, they have those solid rocket motors, which burn and sound much differently to any liquid fueled engine that's out there. And the same can be said for SLS. I mean, Jack, you were here for Artemis 1. You can speak to how that sounded. That was incredibly intense, and just the crackles from both 5-segment SRBs were super intense. And the same can be.
I've had the fortune of seeing the shuttle from the NASA Causeway. Like, I think it's like 6 miles away. And a whole bunch of other shuttle launches from various other places. But that was the closest I ever got to see one. And of course, SLS from the press site is absolutely wild. Yes. Whenever Artemis 2 goes, y'all, if you have thought about putting effort into a Starship launch, by all means do that. In my opinion, our SLS is as a rarer bird, so to speak. Everybody that can and is able to should absolutely see SLS fly, because we don't know how many more of those we'll ultimately get. And it's truly bonkers to see those massive solids just flame throwing their way into the sky.
That was like, I think the plume coming off of both, combined with all 4 RS-25s, made for I think like one of the longest exhaust plumes we've seen, let alone I think literally the brightest to fly from Florida or really anywhere from the U.S. It was ridiculous.
Just like rockets have different sound profiles, though, Max, they also have different lighting profiles, right? Like I can't get my mind off of New Glenn and that crazy blue spotlight effect that happened.
Yes. Yeah.
It was nuts.
Well, we saw that with New Glenn, and we also saw that with Starship when they were splashing down at night from the buoy cams. We saw the little spotlight effect from all 3 Raptors gimbaling as the ship flipped. But also we saw it from New Glenn. I can't really say we saw it from Terran 1. Which flew just about 2.5 years ago now. Crikey.
But also Terran 1 was kind of small, right?
It was. It for sure was. So definitely. But that being said, though, I mean, you had, well, I'm thinking of it now.
It was very blue, though.
It was very blue, but you had 9 Aeon 1 engines versus 3 Raptors. Yeah, it was just small. But yeah, I'm hoping to see. If that was how New Glenn looked, I cannot wait to see how Starship is going to look at night, honestly.
Oh man.
Yeah, dude. I don't know if people are prepared for the first Starship night launch. Like not just the streaks and everything and the color of the plume and the definition against the dark sky, but also hot staging. And we've talked about this on stream a little bit, Max. We're not quite sure what's going to happen in terms of when we're in a Starship jellyfish launch territory. I know some people are suspect that we'll get as good a show with Falcon as we do with Falcon 9, because there's not as much soot in the exhaust. It's much cleaner exhaust, but yeah, I remain optimistic that a Starship jellyfish launch, or at the very least a night launch of Starship with hot staging. Oh my god.
I mean, regardless if we actually get a full-on jelly or not, I personally think we won't, but I'll remain like I expect we won't, and then if we do of any kind, like, it'll be the best thing ever. But yeah, I think Oh boy, that is going to be a show regardless, and I cannot. Where
Man,
is the first?
what is hot staging going to do to a streak shot? I hadn't even thought about that until this very moment.
Oh,
That's
I
going to
haven't
be a
either.
whole. That's going to be a whole separate ball of
wait,
worms.
hey, so
Wax.
so that
Worm wax.
that on top of the big old spotlight effect from all 33 Raptors in flight.
It's going to be a challenging thing to shoot.
Well, maybe because methane burns a lot dimmer than say RP1 or solid, so you could
That's true.
just stop up a bit more than you normally would, and then bring back whatever detail is lacking. But oh god, I can't wait. But is the first night launch going to be from here or in Boca? What do you think, Jack?
Oh, I presume Starbase for sure.
Would be nice.
I think a lot of the firsts that we'll see, probably with the exception of human flight, will occur from Starbase, and perhaps even human flight. But we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
It's truly wild that we know so much about Starship, and we're so entrenched in the like the minutia of the day-to-day of this program. But at the same time, it's just such early days still. There's so much to come. Falcon 9 continuing to get loaded up with propellant. 24 minutes to go. Keep your questions coming and keep the support coming. Seriously appreciate it, even though I remain steadfast that I did not agree to sing and do not plan to sing. I cannot be more clear about that. Thank you, Ricky T. They say, at Cure Beach, North Carolina with my son, I think that's what they meant, should have a direct view from on the north. Thanks, guys. You rock. Any news on why delayed a day? Yeah, that was an abort triggered by the, what was it, poor communication with the FTS, Max?
I think it was poor connectivity with the AFTS. So on Falcon 9, the A in the FTS. So first, FTS stands for Flight Termination System. The A in AFTS stands for Automated Flight Termination System. So basically, the whole system and the rocket are not dependent on somebody on the ground with their finger on a red button should Falcon 9 start doing something it isn't supposed to or that they don't like. So Falcon 9 has the ability to detonate itself. And obviously there was something on board the vehicle that found some sort of issue between the communication between its systems in the FTS, and at that point they were just under 1 minute. So that was a completely that was not a manual call out or a manual stoppage of the count at that point. I think Falcon 9 called it off on its own. But that is basically what that was, and obviously it was a simple enough fix that they are out there trying again tonight. So we'll see.
We shall see. That was a really weird and unique issue. I'm trying to be very careful with my wording. If you can't tell.
I mean, it for sure is, but at the same time, even Falcon 9 is not immune to small little things coming up like that. As reliable as it has been, as we obviously saw last year, mistakes can still happen. So we have to be very careful about how we talk about Falcon 9 and how do I word this? It's been incredibly successful, but even the giants in this industry are not immune to mistakes. So things happen, but obviously it was an easy fix. And certainly for boosters flying more than 20 times, you are bound to come across small issues like that.
That's one of the things that's really like as much of a window into a lot of the things that SpaceX does that we have. There's really not that much of a window into refurbishment. Like I can't imagine that it's anything other than a pain to get these vehicles turned around for flight, and they've gotten faster at it, and the turnaround time is remarkably fast these days, especially with certain boosters, right, Alex?
Yeah, it's one of those things, and you just mentioned the issues from last year, and I was thinking that was like July 2024. We're about to be 1 year after that. One of the stats that we usually mention here on the streams is, how many launches since that last failure. This today would be the 140th launch since July of last year. Like, how
That's
crazy
absurd.
is that?
Yeah, that's absurd.
Right. And they also had. Oh, continue.
Oh, go ahead. I have been talking to friends who are not rocket nerds about rockets a lot lately, and it's one of those things that it really is. It almost helps me understand and remember how crazy of a vehicle Falcon 9 is and what a technical achievement it truly is. Hey, look, it's the T-minus 20-minute vent. What's going on there, Max?
So essentially what you are seeing now is a bunch of gaseous oxygen being vented out from the transporter erector as SpaceX begins to flow LOX through it in order to purge the prop lines in the transporter erector, as well as thermally condition them to prepare them for LOX load on Falcon 9's upper stage. And of course, the byproduct of that is a bunch of vapor coming out of the TE. And then there's also a great indicator of what the weather conditions are like here in Florida. And as you can see now, it's basically just falling straight down through the tower over at Slick 40. I mean, the air is absolutely stagnant out here tonight. There is no wind whatsoever. So
yeah, a lot of time we see that plume get blown off to one direction or the other.
Yep.
And tonight it's just sort of settling down to the ground.
It's falling straight down, and there obviously the plume is very pronounced because it is very humid out here tonight, which makes condensation all that more visible. So, yes, it is hot, it is sticky, it is humid, but that should make for better conditions, at least for sound.
Yeah, hopefully we get some good sound tonight. And as a reminder, this is a launch out of Slick 40, which, Max, correct me if I'm wrong, means we might get the legendary VAB squeal.
We absolutely should, and Slick 40 is the best ped to do that from, just based on the direction that the sound comes toward the VAB and the press site here. Basically, the sound waves coming off of all 9 Merlins are striking the exterior panels on the VAB with such frequency and just at the right angle to basically make the panels on the VAB vibrate and just shake, I guess, to a point, and that is why they squeal. It does also happen from 41 and 39A, but nowhere near as prominently. And you also get a really unique, like, blaster sound whenever you have a booster or boosters coming back to LZ1 and or LZ2, and that whenever the booms come over here from that area over toward the press site, you first hear the ba-boom of the sonic booms, and then you hear a pew-pew coming off the VAB. It's really cool. But yeah. We should absolutely have that tonight.
Excellent. It's one of those things I always like to point out with Slick 40 launches. It's one of my favorite sounds in general. And I'm reminded, actually, I was recently at a decommissioned Nike missile silo that's now a part of a national park in the Marin Headlands in California. And the park ranger mentioned that Skywalker Sound had sampled some of the hydraulics and other machinery in that missile silo and used them in Star Wars and other stuff. I wish I could just spend like a couple weeks or a couple days or heck, a couple hours at Kennedy Space Center there with just no camera but some microphones and just get really good audio of the pew pew from the sonic booms or the shriek, because when the VAB does that sound, it's almost like it's like cheering on the rocket that's launching. I don't know. I'm a really big fan of the VAB squeal.
You know, Dee and I have been talking about that for a while in having cameras and or microphones inside the VAB during a launch from Slick 40 and also in RTLS. We really want to hear what that's like from the inside.
That's a really, really good idea.
Gotta wait until after Artemis 2.
Yeah, true.
The SRBs, bro, they're there.
No Wi-Fi or anything that transmits near the SRBs, please.
Correct.
But what you can do is continue to support us, because it's really important, because, you know, we have to have support if we're going to keep doing what we're doing, and we love what we do. Honey2800 saying, welcome to NSF After Dark. Cue saxophone music is what I will read. Thank you. Tyler Glockner asking, how edible is Starship? Not very, although heat shield tiles may or may not be usable as plates in theory. Chromatic gifting a Red Team membership. Thank you so much. Shiloh McKenzie, thank you for the super chat. And they say the Starship COPV jelly bacon kilt fish. Shiloh, you having a good time tonight? Oh, thank you. Tuesday, thank you for the super chat as well. Oh my god.
that super chat should have been can read my super chat. No, he can read my super chat anyways.
Yeah, I don't. This is this is like so much peer pressure right now. I don't know how to deal with this. Mark Lamb, thank you for the support. They say SpaceX stated that the suspected COPV failure with Ship 36 was not related to any Falcon 9 parts. Do we know of any shared parts between the two systems, or Starship and Super Heavy completely new designs? I think there's some heritage there. Like, they certainly took lessons learned, but I don't know about any like commonality specifically between parts. That's not necessarily the kind of thing that SpaceX would really tell us. Unless I'm forgetting some things.
They may have used like Falcon avionics, like in the very early SN days, or like in the very early days of like Hopper and like SN4, SN5. Like maybe that's nowhere near confirmed. That's just complete speculation. Maybe, but in broader terms, Falcon and Starship are completely unique vehicles, and they share absolutely no hardware.
You remember the RCS pods on Starhopper?
Starhopper? I do,
Yep.
because
Yeah.
that was back in the day where the launch site was much smaller, and you could be like, I don't know, 100 feet from Starhopper, sitting right there with basically a chain link fence between you and it, and then all of a sudden they would just arbitrarily do an RCS test with no like PA or warning or anything beforehand, and you'd just be like, I'm taking pictures, and then I will spare everybody's ears out there and not make noises into my microphone. But you can just imagine very loud venting sounds, or very loud RCS sounds. In fact, I'm pretty sure that like there's videos of that in some of our very early Starbase videos. I'm pretty sure I tweeted some Starhopper RCS video. That stuff's out there. You can find it. I'm sure. Also, if you go digging through the membership program, that is exactly the kind of thing Crispy would have put on the early membership program. You can dig all the way back in there and find those. It exists.
I mean,
yeah, that was wild, Alex. Back in my day, they just strapped some parts from a busted Falcon 9 to a water tower and made it fly. And they built it in tents on a sandbar, uphill both ways, in the snow.
If you go to the channel and hit like videos, and then you can sort by oldest, that'll show you just Starhopper. There's like a few launch replays and L2 stuff and everything. But yeah, it's just gonna be a hopper.
Man, my how time flies. All right, you know what? Can't read my. No, he can't read my poker face. There, I did it. That's it. It's done. It's over. We can move on.
Ma.
Max Q, you mean? Mama Max Q.
Members never say I didn't do anything for you.
After Liftoff.
I love how Jack just went, F it, I'm doing it. Here we go.
I mean, okay, so what happened was Tuesday's chat, I didn't dismiss it, their super chat. I put it back in the queue, so it just was sitting there staring me in the face, shaming me. Anyway, let's talk about rockets. We're 11 minutes and 40 seconds to go. We are getting close here. RP1 tank is close to full. Alex, where are we at in prop load?
Well, yeah, the first stage, you can see it's rather frosty. The second stage is also getting frosty as well as liquid oxygen load progresses. RP1 load should be wrapping up in about 5 minutes or so on the first stage. And then we should hopefully be getting into all of the little bits there. You can see Stromback retract, stage 1 and stage 2 LUX load complete, the Falcon 9 going to startup. We'll probably hit all those a little bit closer. But yeah, I don't know. Jack, what else do you have for me?
What else do I have for you? Well, we here at NSF have a whole bunch of awesome summer-themed merch, including Hawaiian shirts that are made in the U.S. with super cool designs. There's like a dragon design, there's a drone ship design. And they have cool little hidden stuff on them in them, like the dragon design has some dolphins. The Hawaiian shirts are seriously nifty. I need to get some. I don't have any yet, But I feel like I could rock that yellow one. Of course, I'm going to rock the orange one. But we also have, in addition, well, yeah, of course I'm going to rock the orange one. In addition, we also have some ladies' merch as well, including shorts. Can Carson scroll? Yes, including shorts and swim trunks and a swim set. They're super cool as well. Dare I say they're cute? Can I say that? Am I allowed to say that? Either way, also the super heavy swim trunks are good. I've worn them. If you click around for too long on the store page, you might see me in them. I don't recommend that you do that, but you could in theory.
You have to actually. You have.
No, you don't. You don't really
You
actually
have
have
the
to.
obligation.
No, you don't. It's not. That's not me, by the way. I'm nowhere near that fit. In the thumbnails aren't me. But yeah, the Super Heavy Swim Club design is. I think it's really clean and really cool, and it comes on a bunch of stuff, including swim trunks. So check it out. The merch store is another huge way that you can support what we do, and whether it's metal prints or Hawaiian shirts or a cup or a mug or a towel or whatever it is, we appreciate you even taking the time to take a look. See, look how cool that is. Look how cool that is. Come on. What's not to love? You got the grid fins in the water. I mean,
That's
come on.
V1058, of course.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
Too soon?
Oh man. Well, while we're looking at drone ships, Max, I don't think we've talked about marine assets yet on this stream. What's going on with the drone ship downrange?
Yeah, hopefully about 8.5 minutes into the flight, 1069 will be meeting the drone ship, a shortfall of gravitas stationed about 600-ish kilometers northeast of the Florida Peninsula. And about 100-ish kilometers beyond that is the fairing recovery ship Doug, which is stationed ready to scoop the fairings up out of the water following a successful separation and re-entry back into the Earth's atmosphere, since those re-enter and come down and splash down under their own parachutes and guidance systems, which is why the fairings on Falcon 9 are actually really unique in that they are not just a piece of carbon or composite material, that they are, in essence, kind of, well, not kind of, they are their own vehicles, and that they have their own GNC systems on board.
Yeah, they're basically their own spacecraft. I'm really curious when and if the long variant of the Falcon 9 fairing flies, if that is going to end up being recoverable, or if that's not something that SpaceX ends up putting effort into, because that variant of the fairings, if it ever does fly, is probably not going to fly a lot. Like how worthwhile is that amount of effort to make them reusable? I'm super curious. I just want to see the long fairings fly.
I could be wrong. I think those were made to be fully expendable, and they were also only going to be used on certain Falcon Heavy variants. Alex, does that sound right?
Yeah, that was my expectation, but a guy can dream. Like imagining one of those extra large fairing halves come back in from space is like, holy cow. And every now and then SpaceX will release like fairing footage of a fairing coming in and like all the plasma and everything. It's so sick. Imagine that from a bigger fairing. I mean, it's like, hey, who doesn't like more re-entry footage, more space for more cameras, bigger fairing, more cameras? Come on.
The entry video from the Viasat 3 the Viasat 3 mission from April of 23 is still like one of the best ever. Yeah, it is certainly legendary. I've really been loving that Varda has been putting out all that re-entry footage. Like as spaceflight gets more common, it's going to be something we get to see more and more and more of, and especially obviously with Starship, we've seen it a lot as well. Although not lately. Anyways, Max, we're getting close to launch. I'm going to send you off so you can do camera things. Please enjoy the launch, and we look forward to the imagery. Thank you very much, everybody, and I'll see y'all on the other side.
See you on the other side, good buddy. Kill it. I know you will. 6 minutes to go. Alex, how are you feeling?
I am feeling chill. I'm feeling chill, just like those pumps on the Merlin engines.
And just like the exterior, I guess, and interior, of the Falcon 9 rocket with all of its cryogenic propellants. Nice. What are you, Sawyer?
Well, I mean, I like puns.
Fair. I mean, I think we all do. Shiloh McKenzie, thank you again for the super chat. They wanted the kilt. Dang it, sigh. B1062, thank you. They said, I still haven't heard the squeal. It's an NSF psyop. I promise you it's there. I promise you the squeal is there.
It was one recent launch. It was really like loud.
Really audible, yeah. It's not always the most audible. Like, it varies. It does vary from launch to launch, and of course, certain pads do it more than the others. I think Slick 40, like Max was saying a moment ago, is probably the best. So the squeal, Neil Lawson in chat says, the squeal is real. Hypnotic says they've never heard it. I promise you it's there. Hopefully we get some good squeal audio tonight. It's a really interesting sound. I mean, hopefully we can have that for you tonight. It just depends on what the conditions do. And Santos with a $5 super chat. Again, thank you everybody. It really means the world to us that you come out and get your rocket news from us and support what we do. They say rockets are awesome. Psh, that's the sound a rocket makes. Kablamo, that's what I'm talking about. Kabuya. Thank you, Santos. I don't know if they wanted me to like commit more to the onomatopoeia aspect of that, but we're T-5, so that's what you got. Excellent. Clock continuing to tick down. Alex, we're getting close to the point where Falcon 9's internal computers are going to take over. That's T-1 minute. But before then, a couple other things are going to happen that we can actually see, right?
Yeah, so they should be preparing for the Stromback retract, the sort of service structure next to the rocket. Those clamps at the top of the rocket will open, the structure will retract about 1.8 degrees away from the rocket, then all the way out at liftoff. And also in the meantime, we're going to have liquid oxygen load wrapping up on the first and second stages, roughly T-3 minutes and T-2 minutes. Now, T-1 minute, as you were mentioning, that's going to be when the ground computers will hand over control of the count to the onboard computers. That you can see those clamps at the top of the Stromback have retracted, and also the Stromback itself is also already a little bit away. I think it still has a 30 more seconds or so to fully retract. But yeah, that's essentially the first minute of the count. The last minute of the count, it's going to be just those checkouts that they do, and there's like a bunch of automated processes that goes there to ensure that the launch is correct. Yesterday they had that issue with the flight termination system signal, so hopefully this time around they don't have that. The weather looks good. It seems like everything seems to be okay-ish and green for today's launch, hopefully in 3 minutes from now.
I like how your voice got higher at the end of that.
Yeah, maybe.
Hopefully in 3 minutes from
I don't want to jinx it. That's why.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. Gosh, I love seeing a Frosty rocket on the pad. It just seems like, I know it's an inanimate object, it's a machine, but it really always just feels to me like this thing is coming alive. It's beginning to breathe. And at this point in the count, it's like, it's basically ready to go. Alex, do we know why there's the big eye on the fairing there?
Oh, that's just one of the many different things that you can see on it's like when Chris B talks about the fingerprints on the shuttle orbiter TPS on the thermal protection system, the heat shield and everything. Same thing happens with the fairings, where it's like they have sort of their own little quirks and suit patterns and whatnot. That's one of those.
Yeah, usually I feel like those are when they want to inspect or like do some sort of non-destructive test or inspecting, like they clean off an area. I don't know, maybe they ultrasound it or something. I have no idea. But always interesting to see like the different marks and whatnot, the different parts of this vehicle accrue over their flights. Do we know how many fairings, like how many times a fairing has been reused? Like what's the life leader fairing?
That would be serial number 185. It's launched already at least 30 times.
Unfortunately, we don't get a whole bunch of clarity into what fairings are flying on what missions. It's kind of, people have to divine what they are from the individual markings a fairing has, but that's really interesting. I wonder which fairings are flying tonight.
There are serial numbers on the fairings now, so.
Ooh.
Yeah, neat. It's a lot easier.
All right, here we are, T-minus a minute to go. Falcon 9's internal computer is going to take control at this point, and if it sees anything it doesn't like in the next 60 seconds, it will say, I'm not going to space today, but hopefully that does not happen. And it sees, Falcon 9 is in startup. There you go. You can hear the call out, hopefully. And that means now the rocket is in control.
Launch director.
Ooh, I'm excited. Launch director, go for launch. Excellent. 30 seconds. Watch for a green flash at the base of the vehicle. That'll be the TTEB triethyl aluminum triethyl borane that is used to ignite the Merlin engines. 20 seconds. And again, listen for that VAB squeal. Hopefully it'll be there in the audio. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Conditions vary. But here we are, 10 seconds. 5. There's ignition. And liftoff of Falcon 9 P1069 25 on its 25th flight, launching 27 Starlink V2 mini satellites into orbit on a northeasterly trajectory. Run outside and take a look if you're on the northern seaboard. Let's listen in. Lovely plume there from Falcon 9 as it ascends into the thinner atmosphere and goes transonic. Hopefully you guys heard the squeal. It was there. Oh wow, and you can see the exhaust plume beginning to expand. I always love that blue as it gets up into the higher and higher atmosphere. It's such a weird, hard to capture color. Like, this is close. That bluey purple, though. It's not the same unless you're looking at it with your own two eyes, but this is pretty darn good. Max, I think this is a max track. Continuing to track it. Alex, how far? Yeah, that was cool. Was that a star?
Yeah. Look, there.
The blue.
Turning blue. Yep.
Coming up on stage,
high
Seb.
altitude.
Yeah, this is Max tracking it. Consummate professional. Look at that. Is that like
And there we go.
There is Miko. Max continuing to track it like a legend. It's a spec right now, and there is second engine start. What a killer track from Max.
Vandenberg startup.
That was nice.
And there's startup on the second stage, and you can see the inner stage of 1069 getting roasted. That's cool. Max still has the second stage, mind you, continuing to track it. And you can see some plume interaction there between the second stage and the first stage. That's really cool. Also, there go the fairings. Whee!
To be recovered by Doug.
Nice. Doug hanging out in the Atlantic, waiting to snag those out of the water. Second stage continuing to power into orbit. Absolutely beautiful views tonight. Chat liked the Wii, apparently.
Yeah, the Wii.
How can you look at a fairing sep and not think anything but Wii? Like that's just what that is. I mean, I'm a professional reporter, but when fairings separate, the sound it makes professionally is Wii.
The actual sound, though, it's more like blunk.
Yeah, it's like a clunk. Yeah, I think ULA has released some rocket cam footage where you can hear that. It's similar also to the SRB SEP sound. It's just like a clunk. All right, second stage. Check it out. Look at the telemetry in the bottom right. Second stage, piling on the velocity. Meanwhile, first stage on the left-hand side is slowly slowing down. Both vehicles on a nominal trajectory, excellent. But it's slowing down not because it's slowing down. It's slowing down because it is slowing down. It's reaching the height of the arc in which it's traveling. It's still traveling upward until right around nowish, when you'll see that altitude indicator start to drop. There you go. And the speed will start to increase. In fact, it's going to start to increase a lot until Falcon 9 slams on the brakes with its entry burn, which you can see coming up in the timeline there on the bottom. The entry burn is where Falcon 9 fights the plasma of reentry and the heat of that with its own engine plume. Supersonic retro propulsion. Yet another piece of Falcon 9 lore that I feel like a lot of us seasoned rocket launchers, at this point, I don't want to say take for granted, but we accept it as routine, when in reality, it's just truly wild still that it's like, hey, what's colder than plasma? I don't know, rocket exhaust. Right, Alex?
Well, the rocket exhaust also pushes away that plasma because, you know, those engines, like, for example, the exhaust velocity of those engines is hypersonic. Like, it's literally 3 kilometers per second. That's faster than the booster itself. So that means it pushes away the air out from the front of the booster. So it not only fights, you know, fire with fire, because it's sort of like still less hotter, I guess. Like, it's still colder than the plasma itself, but also it pushes it away. So that also helps, because, you know, you're both fighting it, but also like getting it further away from you. That's double, you know, one for two, I guess. Or no, 2 for 1. Oh my gosh.
Good try. A for effort. A for effort.
It's too early. It's too early here in Spain.
All right, watch the telemetry now. Watch. Second stage continuing to pile on the velocity. First stage now at 75 kilometers and falling rapidly, but it's entry burn time, baby.
Ooh,
there you go.
from the ground. Look at that.
Max caught it because Max is a pro. And there you go. You can see it a little bit delayed on the SpaceX feed there. There is entry burn. What is that, a 131 engine burn configuration, Alex? You can see the little engine thing in the bottom left that they've recently added.
Now it's not trust me, bro. You can see the actual telemetry.
Entry burn shutdown.
Super cool.
And there's the shutdown.
And now it's not trust me, bro. Stage 1 FTS safed. Good deal. It's coming in hot. We don't need to protect the public anymore because it's over the water, so you can safe that telemetry and not safe that FTS and not have to worry about that when you're getting close to your drone ship there. 26 kilometers on the first stage, still going 5,000 miles an hour. Meanwhile, kilometers. What's a kilometer? Meanwhile, second stage, 17,000 kilometers, 18,000 now. Alex. It's not okay, all right? It's not a literal question. I think we saw some plasma in the grid fins there for a second. That was really nifty.
Look out for the. Oh,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, look out for the drone ship light. It's interesting. I've seen it. It's just so tiny.
It's a little speck. Yeah, it's just a little speck down there. This is going to be a wild landing if we get all the footage all the way through. Please, SpaceX. Please, little Starlink antennas. Please hold. All right, landing burn. Come on, baby.
Stage 1 landing burn.
There it is.
Stage 2 is.
Ooh, we have audio. I think.
Maybe.
Yeah, there it is.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
And just. There we go.
Stage 1 landing.
Awesome.
Landed.
In case you don't watch a lot of Falcon 9 launches, it's totally normal to see a little bit of residual fire around the engine bells. I see Lords of Random asking, fire? No, that's pretty normal. The Merlins kind of barf a little bit when they land. It's fine. There's like some purges. It's fine. Second stage, nozzle, glowing red hot, because that Merlin is still burning, but it just stopped. So you'll see it start to get colder. And no, there's not a mice on the turbo machinery there. It's just ice. I had a really good friend who's not a rocket nerd hit me up the other day and was like, dude, is that a mouse? And I was like, nah, it's ice. And he's like, but it's a red hot rocket engine. How is it ice? And then we had a long discussion about rockets. Good times. Turns out There is ice that's around in Merlin because various parts of it are kept cool by, guess what? Cryogenic liquid oxygen. Hey, look, it's our favorite view on launch day, an empty launch pad. Max, do we have you back, good buddy?
I would sure hope so.
Awesome. Hey, Max, I'm going to tell you a secret.
On air?
Uh-huh.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
I think it's a great idea.
Okay, tell me your secret.
I had a lot of Red Bull after 10 p.m. Can you tell?
I can now. You are suddenly much more energetic. Same with these rapid turn replays.
Yeah, they're quite energetic.
It's not even
in fact,
10 minutes.
In fact, you could say they are orbital velocity. I don't know. I gotta drink more Red Bull. I guess.
Turbocharged.
Hey, there you go. Turbo is such a good word.
It is.
This is a view from Fleet Cam, right, Max?
It is. Well, one of them. We have Fleet 1 and Fleet 2. Fleet 2 is, of course, our newer one, both based over at the restaurant Rusty's over in Port Canaveral. Give them a shout. Go check them out. They're a great spot. But they also offer great views over the port channel over by the cranes that you can see in the foreground. That is one of the cranes SpaceX uses to pull the first stages off of their respective drone ships and gets them ready to be lowered and transported back toward Hangar X. But yes, that is an artificial sunrise you are seeing coming up beyond the horizon.
Nice. I always do really enjoy the port view, especially when it's wider like this, because it is relatively close to what you would see with your own eyes.
It really is. This one especially. It is genuinely really bright, and with your own eyes, unless you had some sort of filter on your glasses.
Sunglasses or like a welding glass or some
basically.
Yeah.
It's essentially just a ball of light with a trickle of flame detail at the bottom, just like that. Kind of like this, actually.
Yep. Gotta love the NASA press site cameras that we have. Super cool to just have the meatball in there, even though the worm is superior, and we all agree on that. Nobody wants to argue about it.
I will not argue on that whatsoever, Jack.
I'm trying to pick my tribalisms carefully. Yeah. Here's another wider view, kind of more that night to day sort of vibe. Really neat. Drunar in chat says meatworm. Drunar, stop. Put the keyboard down.
Put the keyboard down.
Echo Deal says wormball. I can get behind wormball. Meatworm, I don't even understand meatworm. Wormball, okay, fine. At least worm is involved. Here's another shot. Is this wide from the press site, Max?
Yes, that is one of the cameras stationed up over here on the lawn. That is the wide view that we had. This is more to show the foreground with the shrubbery and a bit of the turn basin on the left, and then just Falcon 9 ascending as a ball of light above it all.
Really beautiful.
We should have tracking footage coming up relatively soon. Oh, not before auto track, hopefully.
Nice. Go auto track, go.
Was this auto track or was this Karki track?
Auto. It was auto. I don't endorse. It would be Carson track. I don't endorse Karki track as a name. That's not me. I want to go on record as I didn't do that. I'm not responsible for that.
You started it though. You started with a car key thing.
You did.
Hey, this is a great replay though. It's really cool to see auto track do its thing.
Go auto track, go!
Yeah, am I right? Yeah. Wee. Oh goodness, I'm glad they got this thing launched tonight.
You and I both. One down, one to go.
Yeah, buddy, you have a whole other rocket to shoot today. Look at you go at the Cape with all your rockets.
We are busy people over here.
Well, it looks like AutoTrack might be struggling a little bit.
It's still in frame.
Come on, little buddy, you can do it.
I believe in you.
I like that we get the AutoTrack first, and then we'll get the meat sack track, aka the Max track.
It wasn't that, honestly. It wasn't that great tonight. Just foreshadowing, because I'm not used to having to track and move the camera left as opposed to just straight up and down as it is here at the press site. I'm like, oh my god, this thing's moving a lot faster than normal.
Yeah, I mean, muscle memory is absolutely a thing with tracking rocket launches.
It actually is. I mean, it sounds simple enough. Just point camera at rocket, keep camera pointed at rocket, but like you only get one shot of this, and there are no do-overs. So keeping it in frame steadily is a bit more tricky than it sounds.
Is this the
As we
max?
will see here in a minute, because
Is
this
this
is my track. Yes.
All right, excellent.
This is the what you call
Oh, we're not
I
gonna
don't
worry
think
about
it's
that.
hard.
We
I don't think
we
it needs to be
can-
repeated.
Yeah, no, it's the Max track. It's Max's track. It's the track. It's the track that Max did.
I did do this track. This track was done.
You did done do it. Good stuff. I think we might have killed Alex again.
We might have.
Done diddly doodly did it.
You done did kill Alex.
Indeed.
Indeedly doodly. This is a good track, Max. Quality track. I know you're like, oh, it's not that good, but no, like good stuff.
I've had better.
I mean, come on, look at that. Also, you did follow stage 2 for quite a while, which again, nice. And you had entry burn, nice.
For like a second before it went behind some clouds.
You had it. We had it live.
Yeah.
Hey, it's not like you were filming Ship 36 exploding and had your exposure settings completely wrong.
I mean, no comment. You were still there and you still saw it and you still shot it. So I don't want to say I'm jealous of that, because obviously that was a rather unfortunate thing to happen, but I'm happy to be tracking Falcon 9 all day.
God, the blue. The blue.
You're my boy, Blue. Oh, these late night Starlinks, am I right?
This has been the latest night Starlink, and it's not even the earliest in the morning. It's just, I don't know what happened on the, well, I do know, unfortunately. I wish I could just like push a button on the behind my ear and delete it, but I do know what happened. I wish I didn't. This has been a good, this late night Starlink certainly has hit different.
And I do have to say really quickly that there is no audio on this replay, unfortunately, because the microphone, for some reason, decided to turn off, and I failed to notice. So apologies for that, everybody. It will not happen again.
Oh, dang.
No.
We did get a little bit of squeal on the stream itself. So if you want to hear it, you can go back to the launch when the audio popped in. There was a VAB squeal. And again, there'll be plenty more launches out of Slick 40, and we will remind you again in the future plenty of times to listen for that. We're all humans here. Hey, look, speaking of a human that is here and really great, is Sawyer. And he shot this streak from, like, what is it? 150 miles south.
I think
cow.
he's in West Palm Beach, so that's about a 2-hour
Don't
drive.
dox Sawyer, Max.
He said it!
He said 150 miles south.
He said it before!
Don't dox Sawyer, Max. That's not cool.
Okay, Sawyer lives in the U.S. Is that better?
Yeah, there you go.
Somewhere on Earth.
Yeah.
It's somewhere on Earth.
Relatively
Somewhere influenced by Earth's gravity.
Yes. In Earth's gravity well. There we go. That's sufficiently vague. Really quickly, I do want to thank Tuesday, despite them contributing to things I may or may not have done on this stream. They say, do you think we will get Starship from Wallops? Do you think we'll get Starship in Wallops from Virginia? I doubt it.
Probably not.
You never know. They're going to need a lot of launch pads.
They are, but Wallops is not a big facility, and there is a lot of just small town around that area that would not, I think, handle the intense sound energy from a super heavy booster very well. I'm not sure, but you never know. I don't know. We'll see.
I do wonder to what extent Super Heavy and Starship's size is going to end up being a liability in the end, and they will, like, to what extent are they limiting themselves to certain... Anyways, we'll talk about Starship plenty on the next Starship stream. Drunar, to wrap things up, thank you for the super chat. They say that Dougler, I assume they're talking about Doug, the fairing recovery ship. Dougler. And that might be a reference. That might be a reference I'm missing. Either way, what I'm going to be missing is all of you, because we're about to wrap the stream. Max, thanks for being out in the field. Appreciate your hard work and braving the mosquitoes and humidity.
Of course, happy to do it as always. And of course, remember, this is one down and there's one more to go in just a couple hours with the Atlas 5 and Kuiper Mission 2 from Slick 41.
Nice. Yeah, and we'll be live. So tune in, turn on subscriptions if you haven't already. Alex also on commentary tonight. Thank you, Alex. Always a treat.
Yeah, as always. And yeah, that Kuiper launch in what, less than 5 hours or something like that. It's gonna be quite a wild night. So yeah.
It will indeed. Also, operating tonight's
There it is.
stream. There it is. Operating tonight's stream, we had Carson Phillips. Thank you, Carson. We appreciate you and your hard work as well. There's also the NSF socials. You can tune into the... Oh, I got it wrong. I'm Jack Beyer for NSF. Nobody cares about me. Socials. If you want to keep track of all of the upcoming launches, including Kuiper later on today, then the NSF socials are your best bet. We're on whatever social media app is your favorite. Take your pick. We're there. That was certainly a stream, y'all. Well, with that, I think we will leave you. Oh, Leica is a good girl. Hopefully, you did not hear her absolutely destroying a bone in the background the whole time, but she was she was doing that. I can
She must be so happy though.
I can confirm. It was the only way I could get her to calm down. I walked her earlier. I tried to tire her out. She pretends she's tired at a certain point after like 30 minutes of walking. She's like, I'm so tired. And then we get back to the house and she's like, wee! And I'm like, bro. Okay, anyways, thanks for watching. Yeah, right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one.
And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
RCPA chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, Atlantic.
Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside FD off. Bring in FD off. Off. It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
The methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?